Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
You find yourself in a tavern.
Oh, we should have checked for traps.
I knew he forgot something.
I think I can reason with him.
You killed his father.
Can I have sex with it?
You could certainly try.
I'm gonna touch a sword.
Don't touch the sword!
The child is evil, right?
Obviously.
I could cast Fireball.
Always cast Fireball.
All right. Roll for it.
All right, I'm back from the bathroom. I'm sorry, Mr. Stu, that I took a break.
I can't believe you interrupted the story.
I know.
I feel like we waited a week.
I mean, I was in there for a while.
You need more fiber.
Look, I figured it all out, okay? And I'm ready to hear the rest of the story.
I'm sorry. Yes. Do you remember what was happening?
There was what are they called? Crime punchers?
There was a crime smasher.
Yeah, kind of like well, it's similar to a superhero, but that's a different sort of thing. That's another fantastical thing that I've created.
You created two fantastical things.
Is there a real-world analog for a crime smasher?
Wait, is it like an adventurer?
Sort of like an adventurer, yeah, but they keep their identity secret and they fight criminals.
Why would they keep their identity a secret?
To protect their loved ones.
People should do that normally, all the time. I knew some adventurers who burned down a whole town. Most of the towns they went to. Or robbed people.
Yeah, that's why they're a little sometimes they call adventurers murder hobos.
Wait, so the crime smashers get to have loved ones?
Sometimes, yeah.
Wow. And everything turns out okay for them, right?
Sometimes there's refrigerators. Don't worry about it. So,
ooh, I don't know what that is, but it seems sinister.
Okay, I think we're good. Let's get back into the story.
Sounds good.
Kick us off.
Meanwhile, back at the library, a general library use will allow you to investigate the symbol that was on the
And I have
on the thing.
points in there.
And looking at the accounting with a no spend, it seems that most of the things are in order.
Okay.
He gives a lot to charity. He gives quite a bit to charity. If you want to do a one spend of accounting, you can learn just a little bit more. But right now, it looks like most of his finances are in order, but he gives an excessive amount to charity.
I mean, I only have 1 point in accounting, but I don't know where it would come into play later.
I also have some accounting skill.
Okay.
If we need it later.
Yeah, okay, then let's use it. Let's figure out.
Yeah.
All right.
I'd like to know what charities.
Okay. It looks like he's been donating to a lot of charities. Margaret Sanger is one of the big people that he's been donating to. She's a very controversial figure.
I support Margaret Sanger.
Yes. Yes, of course. But you notice that looking at some of the donations that he's making, they seem to be going to charities that don't exist. So some of his money is going somewhere, but it's not going to the charities. Usually, you know that this is a way people are trying to cheat on their taxes often to get discounts. They're saying, "Oh yeah, I'm totally giving all of this money that I have to charity," but it's actually not going to charity. Perhaps he's used to buy more elaborate, party things or whatever.
A portrait of himself.
Yeah, a portrait of himself. But you do know that he has quite a bit of money. He doesn't seem to be earning any money through any illicit means. He seems to be earning all of his money on the up and up.
Okay.
No weird mob money seems to be coming in.
Got it.
But when it's going out, he seems to be spending money on things that he, for charities that don't actually exist.
Got it. Interesting.
So he has mystery expenses.
All right, and examining the symbol. The crown symbol marks it. You realize that this is a signature of the Crown Royal Castworks. It's actually down in San Diego, and they do ironwork down there. And the smaller symbols on the side of it are sort of a serial number of sorts, but instead of a number, which is sort of ugly looking, it's just a bunch of little dots and dashes sort of thing, so that they can look into it and identify which object it is or whatnot. Yes.
I'm not there, but is it Morse?
It's not Morse code, no.
Okay.
It looks similar to Morse code. You might be confused to think it is, but but going into the libraries, you recognize this as just looking at some of the newspapers and some of the things like that. You've seen that a couple of these things have been sold before. You also do find, going through the phone books, you have found the number of the Castworks if you would like to get in touch with them.
Yes, I would.
All right. Giving them a call. A quick description of the thing. The man is very chatty. On the other end, apparently does not get much work these days. Nobody's building too many of them. But giving a description of the thing and also the Native American statue is like, yeah, that's Chief Howdy.
Chief Howdy.
Chief Howdy, yeah. They man, I think we made like only about a dozen of those. It wasn't particularly popular. Could you describe the symbol that, I mean, there's the crown symbol, but what was the symbols next to it?
There's like a few dots and dashes.
All right, and describing the thing to him. Okay, let me look. Let me look here. I got to go through my old. Hold on, and then you wait for a little while. It's just while he's like looking through books and whatnot.
Now let's simulate this. What does the paper sound like?
All right,
God, that's gonna be miserable.
you hear him blowing dust off of a book or something, and then he comes.
Oh, these are just.
And then he comes back. All right, it looks like it was bought by a gentleman, Mexican guy, Serrano, Greg Serrano.
That's who we just sent our other investigators after.
Oh, okay. Well, if you, glad to. Is there anything else you need to know about Chief Howdy? I don't. Once we ship it out, we don't really have much to do with it. But Serrano bought it about 2 years ago.
All right.
Yeah.
I guess that's all I need to know.
All right. Well, give me a call anytime. I'd love to chat. I'd love to chat with you, madam. It's great to have somebody to talk to. And if you want to buy anything, if Mr. Serrano,
Click.
By the way, I'm sitting here looking up non-alcoholic drinks to substitute in for the Shirley Temple. None of the people non-alcoholic drinks are named after are famous yet. So I guess water.
Yeah, I mean, I have my own supply of alcohol. Micah has been drinking all day.
A Virgin Mary?
yeah.
No, she's not famous yet. It's weird.
It's weird. She hasn't shown up.
All right. And at this point, I assume the four of you all get together. You can meet in office or like a side room in the library or something like that.
I think maybe we reconvene in maybe like Josephine's office because I assume we're at
We're
UCLA.
at UCLA.
Yeah. And it's currently the summer. So it's extremely hot in Los Angeles, but that also means that I don't know how many undergrads you deal with, but you don't have to be giving any lectures to them right now. You're a little bit more open.
It also means the campus is pretty quiet.
The campus is relatively quiet, yes.
Well, we gave a man a heart attack, and that's not
what?
not a euphemism.
Well, let's clarify. You gave him a heart attack.
Yes. Yes. I gave a man a heart attack. But then we called an ambulance for him. So, are you two familiar with either the Blue Mist or the Penitent?
No.
Would you say that maybe I had heard of it? Being around undergrads, it might be something that they're interested in. So I probably overheard.
You've probably heard of the Penitent, and you probably know Moorhead. But you may not know his connection to Blue Mist. But if that name comes up, you work in the studio system.
Right.
You probably haven't worked for Moorhead Studio, but like you probably are aware of him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just imagine I'm the kind of person who reads the paper. So
Yeah, exactly.
I'd say that I've seen the headlines. Like I'm familiar with the whole thing.
Yeah.
For the sake of simplicity, we recount the scene that you just witnessed.
Yes. And I assume they also give the information that they got from the books and the calls.
So we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
I know 4 places at once and fire and metal. Impressive.
Do you think, it just makes me think of those injuries
Yeah.
that he had.
Was he fighting the Penitent?
That's what I'm wondering.
Was he the Penitent?
Was he the Penitent? That's what crosses my mind.
It was meant to kill the Penitents.
Right?
And then
maybe it
finally got him.
Yeah, maybe maybe it did succeed after all.
Addison was the Penitent? That would be crazy.
Well,
he was in excellent shape, which none of us knew about.
Yes.
And he had all of these scars
from
previous fights, scuffles.
For the record,
Something to think of.
For the record, you also were, if you wanted to, we didn't quite talk about this, we mentioned it offhand. If you wanted to, you could take the body to examine it at one of the labs here at UCLA.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes.
I'd say yes.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe we brought the body.
Yeah, you brought the
We
body.
both have skills in forensics, so
Right.
I'd say that we could have just
I
done
would like
that.
to real quick ask how you two transported a body to UCLA.
We got a taxi.
and they
the
don't ask
body
any
sat in our
questions in
lap.
those taxis.
We had a body bag, and we just sat the body in our lap.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's a professor. She could probably just say, like, this is for research. At UCLA.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. I have credentials.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
I mean,
Credentials can get you through a lot.
Yes.
That's literally her occupational skills that she has credentials.
I have credentials.
Yes.
I'm on the list.
All right. As you were examining, so you made the phone call and found sort of like an interesting fact that you already kind of had, unfortunately.
And then we have a really funny, like, about 2-minute scene of Josephine dragging the body herself into, like, one of the labs and trying to get it up on the table.
I helped.
It's real, it's real wacky.
As you're examining,
I was actually kind of bummed that we didn't get a weekend at Bernie's with a man with a spear hole through his chest. Oh, what was he wearing when he died? Was he in like leisure clothes?
Yeah, he was just in a leisure outfit.
Or was he wearing a black cape with red trimming and a big fedora hat?
Was his head on fire? This would simplify a lot of things.
You're jumping to weird conclusions here. I don't know. So as you were examining the bodies with the X-ray machine, able to perform an autopsy, like going through it, which the Hearsts authorized you to do that because they don't want this to get out to the papers. But honestly, they weren't crazy about the boy either, so they don't mind too much of the examination that's going on.
No love lost.
Yes, exactly. Almost every bone in his body had been broken at one point or another. And sometimes on multiple occasions. The wounds and contusions were incurred over a long series of separate incidents. And this is a man who has had more fights and harm than a boxer or a soldier. If you would like, you could spend 1 point of forensics to gain a slightly bigger clue on this.
How many points do you have?
2.
Okay, I have 1. We can spend mine.
Okay. All of the injuries have occurred within the last 4 years.
Okay.
Interesting.
4 years.
I mean, he was certainly too young to have served in the war, so that was out. But
when I knew him and we talked about, did I know where Addison went before those 4 years, where he was?
Oh, he's been in Los Angeles for like the last 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah, or so.
I didn't know if he was traveling abroad for a while.
Oh, he
back.
did. I mean, you didn't really get to know him until relatively recently.
Right, but I didn't know if, like, obviously all of us talk about each other whenever we meet each other. Did I hear any stories of, like, oh, he had come back from here, or he had been, I heard he was.
He visited the Orient and learned about fear.
Right, exactly.
If you make a credit rating spend of 2 points, you can know something about that.
Man, my credit rating is taking a plunge.
So here's the thing: you're not actually losing your money. This is just your credit rating in regards to like spending.
The points that
I
can spend. Yeah, I'll spend 2.
All right. You know that he did disappear for a time around the time when he found out about his father's infidelity and things like that. Around when he changed his name, he did disappear for a time. Some people say that he was in Europe studying philosophy there. Others say that he went to the Orient and was going around in Burma or something like that.
How long was he gone? Do you know?
I do remember he was gone for quite a while. I think it was like maybe 6 years, 7 years.
No,
that doesn't at all line up with what you were just told.
No, he was. It's unclear when he left because he would go out and do things, but around the time he disappeared and nobody saw him for a while, but people thought he was just sort of holed up in his mansion, and then they eventually realized he was gone. Nobody saw him for about 1.5 years.
Oh, it was just 1.5 years.
Yeah, about 1.5 years.
This was within the time you knew him, wasn't it? I'm asking more, Daniel.
No, I was going to say you got to know him after he came back.
Right, when he came back.
Okay.
Yeah, you met him about 2 years ago, or at least got to be friends with him about 2 years ago.
Okay, I got you.
As much as he had friends, he kept people a little bit at an arm's distance.
Okay. So he vanishes for a year.
And I share all of that with you.
Vanishes for a year, then 4 years following that, breaks every bone in his body, essentially.
Would I know when did what's the guy's name? The Penitent? Penitent. When did he come onto the scene?
Reports go back about. You'd have to look in the library archives for this, but you have library, so you go look in the newspaper morgue. The first reports was about 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's about right.
My God. Do you think Addison was the crime smasher, the Penitent?
I think it's certainly possible.
Seems
Yeah.
like
Either that or his
clues
relationship with Mr. Chan was of a more singular nature.
Speaking of which, is there any way that we can get in touch with him?
That's
Do we know where did he live in the house? I mean, he was his manservant. Did he live in the house?
He lived.
Okay.
Just from real quick, when you talk to the lawyer Jennings, he said that Chan is supposed to live on site, and nobody knows where he is. He's just disappeared.
Okay.
Yes.
Can we assign somebody to look for him? You know what I mean? Like to try to track him down.
I can go pound the pavement a bit.
It's a big city.
I was going to say,
city, yeah.
Who do we hire?
I'll see you in a week.
Yeah.
I've got a couple people that work for me, and they all have their own network of contacts. Maybe I could give my old manservant a call and see if maybe there's some sort of manservant under network or things like that.
All right. So just a heads up, as you're forming these plans, the sun has gone down. You spent your whole day sort of looking at. That's how people talk, right?
Now the sun.
Without the sun, our accents return.
At night we show who we really are in the moonlight.
Jesus.
It's up to you. The sun can be back.
Okay. Speaking of the sun, though, do any of you have any points in astronomy?
I do, actually. I have 2 points in astronomy.
All right. Just a heads up, you know that there is a solar eclipse coming in a couple of days.
Right.
There's a big solar eclipse. Historically, look it up. Big solar eclipse in 1932. And it unfortunately, it is not visible from Los Angeles.
Sad day.
Yeah, but
it's the sun.
Yeah. You can
Gregory doesn't understand solar eclipses.
If you would like, again, this is not that big of a deal, but just because, hey, things are going on. If you would like to be interested in the eclipse, you could spend a point and been doing research or be friends with somebody who's been doing research about an eclipse.
Okay.
Or you could just be like, look, I know about eclipses. Let's just move on and find the person who murdered this guy.
Well, does it benefit me to know about it?
Look, I wouldn't be offering it to you if it didn't.
Okay, then yes. Let's spend a point and do that.
Okay. Do you think you've been doing research into eclipses, or do you think you have a friend on campus who is interested in it?
I'd say I have a friend on campus who's interested in it, and it's come up like in our lunch talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Talking to Dr. Peterson, he wishes there was some sort of observatory that he could go to, maybe in Griffith Park. But
right.
Hasn't been built.
Hasn't been built.
Yeah. WPA is going to build that in a couple years. But the stuff that he's been doing, he's been getting reports from some of the telescopes around the world that their initial projections of the eclipse seem to be wrong. Like, normally you know when eclipses are going to happen. It's how things move. But it seems that perhaps, like, the papers and the observations that have been done, like, somebody must have, like, moved a zero or something wrong, or, like, carried something wrong. It looks like the eclipse is not going to happen, like, on schedule. It looked like it may be happening earlier than scientists originally said. And this is sort of causing a lot of upset in, like, the astronomical community. There are other things for other people to worry about, but that is sort of like a very interesting thing that's been going on, that like 6 different science teams like throughout the world like were calculating where it should be, and then looking at it, it's like, well, no, something's wrong. It looks like it's going to be coming a week earlier than we had anticipated.
Right.
Either the sun is moving at a different way, or the moon, or maybe even the earth, like something, the calculations were wrong. Something's moving faster or slower or something like that.
So with that change, is it possible that we would view it then in LA?
That's maybe the reason that you're knowing about this. This is very exciting.
Okay.
That it looks like the way that the eclipse will be, that the eclipse may actually be over Los Angeles. Yes, instead of the eastern seaboard. Yeah.
So I relay all of that.
Yeah. And you know, not that that's super, you know, you just noticed that in the paper as you're looking at some other stuff.
As I was going through
Well,
stuff.
thanks for that information, Josephine. I guess now I'll plan to see it outside,
It's
I guess.
fascinating, but unless Mr. Chan is on the moon, I don't know how it will help us.
Okay, suit yourselves.
Now, wait a
He
second.
said in character, because I know it's obviously going to be relevant later, but
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever read these, are pulp...
Pulp is totally a thing, yes.
Pulp a thing?
Yeah.
Ever read any of these kind of pulpy issues? I have some spare time when I'm not doing important things, and I've dabbled in some of these pulp issues and animations. Would they be described as? They wouldn't be pulp comics, would they?
no, they wouldn't be comics. They'd be magazines, pulp magazines.
Pulp magazines.
Yes.
You've
Pulp fiction?
dipped into
Essentially, yeah, they would be short stories.
any of these pulp magazines.
Spicy Detective, one of the most popular ones at the time.
Ooh, yeah, like Spicy Detective. I don't know if you've heard.
I'm more of an Edgar Rice Burroughs man myself.
Fair enough. Well, any of these crime smashers that have shown up in any of these pulp magazines, they tend to leave very secret lives. Do you think it's possible if we return to old Addison's place? You know, he had that little tricky floor panel. I was thinking about it more so. He might have other tricky things that he's hiding around his home. I mean, if he was this penitent, chances are he might have some sort of secret study or room where he kept all his accoutrements, you think? Might be able to find some interesting information about him back at his place.
Perhaps behind a bookcase.
Well,
a bootcase?
A bootcase. Yes.
I didn't know you were Danish. You're Danish. Of course.
The sun went down.
So the issue is the sun has gone down. It is evening. You also don't have a key to Addison's estate.
So
well, of course, we know somebody who has locksmith. It'll come in great handy at this point. This
Jennings,
one moment.
we'll just phone up Jennings.
All right. It is rather late. You could try to give him a call.
Well, as you know, I'm an old buddy of Jennings. I witnessed quite a few.
We established your friends with Jennings, so you can call him at his home.
I spent that point for a reason.
Yeah, you could call him at home. Yes, of course.
Jennings, how you doing?
I'm fine. How goes the investigation?
It goes great. Jennings, listen. Jennings, I need you to.
Oh dear Lord.
Mike was making a phone gesture.
No, I was pointing out that you're holding up
I'm
phone
holding
to your ear.
like,
it would be an earpiece, and then the mouthpiece is totally
But I
separate.
took it as to speak in the correct way that I should be speaking here. Jennings, listen.
Your punishment must be more severe.
Oh no, I've got the wires crossed. Jennings, I need you to open up the old door at the old Addison place, if you could.
I'm sorry. We gave the key over to the police. They're the ones holding on to it. I thought they would have given it to you before they left.
Oh, darn. Also, man, what line are you calling from? The one here at this police station is, or whatever. We're
at the library.
We're in a library.
Look,
it's terrible here.
Look, you don't need to put a handkerchief over the mouthpiece. It's fine.
You've heard of
I know you're in a
terrible
public
plague.
I know you're in a public place.
It
but
has my signature on the handkerchief, though. I mean,
Yes.
you've got to use it somewhere.
That's fine.
Listen, so we got to go to the police station to get those keys, it seems.
I suppose so. Mr. Chan has a set apparently, but nobody seems to know where he is.
Yeah, thank you for that useless information. If we can't find him, it would be great to have the keys, though.
Any updates on the case? Any new information?
Not really. Not much, you know. Just a sad tale of a man being impaled by a totally normal statue in his home.
Actually, can I take the phone?
Yeah, sure. Here you go.
Not going through all of that.
You don't want the handkerchief?
No, I'm good.
It's a public phone.
Because you're his lawyer, correct?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Okay.
I'm the executor of his estate.
Okay, so perhaps you can shed some light on some of these charities.
Oh, I'm not his. I'm not his accountant.
Are you not familiar with any of the?
Oh, I mean, if you, as you list some of them off to him, he's like, well, no, that all. I can't say I'm familiar with all of those. I know some of those. I did advise him against donating to a Sanger in particular. She's very controversial. He's been funding helping to rebuild Chinatown, giving money to Negro schools.
I'm familiar with her work.
Okay,
I'd like to reiterate that Landers and I, are not good friends. I just caught him in a fountain once, and we had some good tales about it.
I even if what
I just wanted to check and see if you were familiar with any of those.
I can't say I do.
Okay.
He kept most of his finances to himself.
Understood.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anybody else need to talk to him while he's on the line?
Anybody want to borrow the handkerchief?
No and no. I think I'm good.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.
Sorry for interrupting you.
Actually, Landers,
Oh, goodness.
I'm so sorry. Landers, real quick. Quick question. Did Addison ever have any peculiar interest in, I don't know, foreign antiquities or martial arts, as I believe they call it?
I can't.
Did he ever purchase any capes or large, elaborate...
He doesn't
know about his finances.
Accounting.
I am just his lawyer.
Landers, what kind of law cases did you get up with?
I'm gonna just go ahead and hang up the phone.
Yeah.
Mr. Chan has a key.
Well, so do the police.
Well, yeah, we know
No
that.
one's going to be there tonight.
So you're thinking we just break into the place?
I'm thinking he might return to the scene of the crime. I think there is a possibility of that.
Okay. Is this kind of a wait-and-see bit where we hang out, and then if it doesn't, then we break in ourselves?
So for the record, it is late at night. Perhaps it would be time to go to bed and wake up the next day and investigate the case, or you could stay up all night. That's also a thing you could do. But this is a case that will probably take you a couple days
Listen,
to
you
solve.
came up here to return the books. You're very helpful, though. Thank you for recommending that we go to sleep. You could probably check them out over there.
Okay, yes.
Thank you, Daniel.
I just wanted to make note that the body is still here at the university.
This body is here at the
and
university.
it's under lock.
Okay.
The door's locked.
That's good. Okay.
I just wanted to...
That's
That'll
important.
stop whoever.
Well,
did these
I just want to
dastardly
make
deeds.
it known that the door's locked and
Yes,
that,
That's a good
it's
point.
secure. I always want to...
If you all want, you can come stay at my home. There's a lot of
Who
crazy...
lives the closest to...
you probably live the closest.
No. I mean to Addison's.
I probably do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
And listen,
I'd like to go home to my husband.
Oh.
I mean, we could all have a fun sleepover. I'll get drinks made, and...
I'm going to go to the house to stake it out.
Okay, you're gonna stay up late and stake out the house.
Yeah.
Okay. You're
in the car?
gonna go get drunk tonight.
I'm going to get drunk and get, of course, the minimum 11 hours of sleep that I require.
Then I'll
You're
return
burning
home.
the candle at both ends, aren't you?
Listen, I live a very wild life.
Okay, so everybody's going home then, except for
I do go home, but I take some of the newspapers
okay.
home with me
Specifically the ones
that refer to
the Penitent.
Yes.
Okay.
To see just for reference.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd like to swing by the cops and pick up the key.
Okay. And
And I'm going home to my husband,
all right, that seems like a good plan.
What's his name?
Joseph.
Nice.
All right.
Josephine.
Yeah.
It's a twist. It's a real twist.
We're actually lesbians.
Yes.
That's definitely
that's
something you
the
need to
twist.
keep secret.
I love the undercurrent story that's going on there.
Okay. You swing by the LAPD. It's a little bit late. And who do you want to? I mean, you could go up to the front desk. Is there anybody you want to ask? to see?
Yeah, I'll ask for Kroger.
The gal at the front desk says, "I'll have him up in just a moment." And
I'll just wait. Smoke a cigarette, as I am wont to do indoors.
okay, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you smoke cigarettes
Yeah.
indoors? All right. Also smoking a cigarette, walking up is Kroger. He says, "Ugh, what do you need?"
Bart, I need the key. Forgot to get that off you before you left.
Oh, okay. I thought you investigated the crime scene, but sure. Don't be looting the place. They'll get pretty mad about that.
No. That's not what we're doing.
Any leads so far on the case?
No, but I did want to ask you about one thing. Do you remember when Creighton Moorhead took his ill-intended swan dive off of the water tower?
Yeah, I do. That was about 2 years ago now, right?
Did you handle that case? I'm presuming in homicide that would be. You
well,
were called at least. I'm sure.
I did know about that. Yes. It looked like he was thrown. We never that case was never solved. I believe it was ruled a suicide. I don't believe it actually was though.
So, yeah, I know the official story was that he was,
I believe he was. The story is he was intoxicated.
right. But
He was at least when they were looking at him, his eyes were wide. There was some sort of chemical influence in him.
interesting. But you're not certain of the suicidal nature of that.
I mean, the man was a scumbag. I don't particularly care.
A scumbag? How do you mean?
He was running rackets all over the city. His whole organization was look.
Well, obviously, this is
I-
under the terms of
Yeah,
allegedly.
He's sort of looking around. He's like, look,
Why don't we step outside?
Okay. He was a crime boss. Okay, he ran one of the biggest gangs in the city. Actually, out of the
crime boss.
movie studios. He assembled a ring of like actors and like extras and technicians and whatnot. And we're trying to run the Jews and the blacks and all the other gangs out of town.
Now, he wouldn't have operated under his name.
No,
certainly. He
no,
had,
he
had
was-
a nom de crime.
Blue Mist. I'm sure you've read it in the papers.
Oh, of course. the
Why
Blue
are
Mist.
you asking this?
There's something that's been needling at me for a bit now. We know that Addison was involved in the film industry. I thought perhaps there might have been some sort of bad blood between him and Moorhead. between their studios. Your mentioning of the blue mist paints that into an interesting light.
Nothing that I heard of. I mean, they competed. I don't think United Artists was getting involved in bootlegging.
Sure. Blue Mist, though, I thought that was involved with the Penitent, that crime smasher.
The Penitent? Oh, God.
I'm only repeating what I hear.
The Penitent makes us look bad. Let's not talk about the Penitent, okay? The governor, the mayor, they all want us to get rid of the Penitent. It's making the police look incompetent.
Certainly. Well,
but
Lord knows that anything that
look, as long
contributes.
as he's smashing the various gangsters, I don't particularly mind. He took down Cohen. He took down the Green Bill. Like all of those gangs have been destroyed. I
thought that was hyperbole. He actually is contributing, or was. How recently was he active? When was the last reported sighting of him?
Oh, I don't know. Look, I don't keep an eye on that. You need to go talk to some criminals if you want to know that.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well, that sounds like a recipe for disaster, but
yes,
I'll bear that in mind. Thank you for the key, friend, and for the
not
light.
A problem. Penitent.
Is there an insight check equivalent in this game?
Assess honesty.
Oh yeah, that would do it. I have 2 ranks in that. Yeah.
He seems to be telling the truth. Like
I figured.
Yeah, he's not lying to you.
I wanted to quickly recap when we talked to Greg Serrano earlier in the day, when he talked about like he just modified it. Is he talking about he modified the statue? Like he modified it to do that crazy spear throw, or was he talking about like he just put the little motion where the hand moves it?
He modified it to be a death trap. He modified it, yeah.
And he did that 2 years ago, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But it was installed a month ago, is what we determined, or the printing was a month ago. There was something that was a month ago, and
the sharpening.
The sharpening was a month ago. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I just find it interesting that the Penitent would create his own death trap and then be killed by his own said death trap 2 years later.
Yeah.
That seems interesting.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go to the house, and
it's dark.
Yeah, I would assume so. I go inside. There's no alarm system, obviously, and no one's here.
Yeah. No.
I would like to check. Chan had a room here?
Yes, he did.
I would like to just check that out real quick. I'm sorry. I'll let us cut away to a group thing later, but I just want to
I didn't know you were going to grab the key from the police station.
Well, I realized I would need to be in the house to sort of hear what's going on, and then I was like, well, I'm at the cops. Why don't I just ask about this other thing? So,
looking around Chan's room, there's a little bit. Do you have any knowledge of art?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I don't see where that. No, definitely not. No.
There's a bit of Oriental looking art on the wall in his quarters. It's a relatively small. I mean, it's nicer than some staff quarters that you've seen. It's a room about the size of your apartment, probably.
Yeah.
To be honest. And nothing in particular. It looks like just servants' quarters living here. Looking around, you see, a couple of books in English, nothing in any languages you don't recognize. Mostly just Pulp Fiction stories laying around, stuff like that.
That's fine. I'll sleep in Addison's room, and I will just chill.
Okay.
Keep an ear out. I'm just. I mean, I know I won't be home, so who's gonna feed the rats that live in my walls? But I think they'll make do for a night.
Rats in the walls, huh?
I don't have a good home life.
No,
oh wait, hang on. I'm actually pretty well. I collect a lot of bribes. I'm probably doing fine.
Okay. All right, and that wraps up the first day of the investigation. All right, so it's the next day. We're gonna skip forward a little bit, and you're all meeting up at the Addison's mansion the next day. I don't know when everybody arrives, but
pretty early.
Pretty early.
I'd say 8 or 9.
I'm making eggs and drinking orange, all the things that are potentially going to expire in his icebox.
Fair enough.
Because no one else is here to help take care of that stuff. They're certainly not in the will. So the fresh fruit, the bananas, those are the first thing gone.
Mm-hmm. Lamont definitely arrives last.
No, we assumed.
Yeah.
Looking tired.
Hungover.
Yeah.
From my readings in the newspaper, is there anything of relevance that I come across?
All of the big gangs in the city have more or less been destroyed by the Penitent. There are like 5 or 6 gangs that were led by flamboyant, costumed, like criminal leaders.
Okay.
And all of those have been destroyed. There's only one smaller one left now, and it's led by Charles Two-Tone Anderson.
Okay. Charles.
Do we know why he's called that? Is it?
He wears two-tone suits.
He has 2 colors of eyes, actually.
Oh.
His eyes are 2 different colors. Yes. He runs business out of Club Alabama, right by the Dunbar Hotel, which is the heart of Black Los Angeles.
Okay. So,
Alabama?
Alabama. Like Alabama.
Without the A.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's what's been bothering me since all last night. What's strange is, clearly, if this was kind of a vengeance after Blue Mist, it's been 2 years. So I'm wondering who is still being affected by the Penitent today that would reach out and seek justice against him now.
Well, there are other criminal organizations he's been working on. But the other question is means. Because whoever it is would have to get this device to kill him.
But that's the thing. Wasn't this the device from speaking with Greg that he got modified himself to kill himself? That seems odd.
No, I thought it was modified by the Blue Mist.
Yes.
That's right.
But then an individual who identified themselves as the Penitent, wearing a mask, presumably, or some sort of disguise to his appearance, came to him and said, I know you are working on this device. You made this device to kill me. Give me the specs to do it.
I believe you are slightly mistaken.
Probably.
I thought it was just information.
So
he got the statue delivered to him.
he got the statue delivered to him.
But
he also got information to take down Blue Mist Syndicate.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
But the point still stands. It is Greg Serrano who is assuming that was the genuine the genuine Penitent he was speaking with. It may not have been.
But here's
or
the thing.
even if he did get it delivered to himself.
Let's say that Addison was the Penitent. He put this statue up in his own home, and then this statue, which was originally used to kill him, was actually used to kill him.
That's why I think we need to find Mr. Chan. He's the missing piece of all
right.
this.
I mean, we also... Who else knew about the statue?
Who else could have gained access to it?
Yeah. I mean, you have to consider that too. Like, who is Addison going to be friendly with that he would just presumably let him in the house?
Nothing could have happened in this house
That's
without
the
Mr.
other
Chan
thing.
knowing
Yeah.
about it.
If somebody knew he was the Penitent, they kept it to themselves.
Right.
It hasn't been in the paper. So somebody personally knew that Addison was the Penitent. Again, we haven't confirmed this, but I mean, the guy was in pretty good shape, pretty messed up. I mean, it seems like from the magazines I've read, definitely crime smashing.
So what would you like to do?
We should try to figure out
Where Mr. Chan
Did-
is.
I'm going to search his house
Okay.
and try to find, like, secret compartments and rooms. I would like to use... I don't know if this counts. I would like to use my craft... Because, like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to rationalize...
It says he crafted any...
He's crafted, like, a fake bookcase or, like, little switches and stuff on the wall.
Okay. That's fine. You're going to be looking around. Anybody else? What are people doing this morning?
I'm going to take them up to Chan's room.
Chan's room. Yeah,
Okay.
I wanted to go up
I
there.
want to go there too.
Okay. Well, I'll let you know as you're looking around. You are very thorough. Like, while they're going to be up in Chan's room, you're thoroughly searching the house with all of your skills, and, like, you have plenty of time to do this. There do not appear to be any secret passages anywhere in the house. There's nothing. If he's got some sort of, like, secret cave underneath the manor or something, a bat cave, if you will. I don't know where I got that expression. There is no entry to it from inside the manor that you can find, and you did an extensive search.
Fair enough.
It's possible his equipment was kept off site.
Very possible.
Okay. And going up to Chan's room, it is as I described it before. But there is a little bit of, as I mentioned, Oriental art on the wall is what you identify it as.
Yeah, that's what I would call it.
That is what you would call it. Do any of you have the ability to know a little bit about art or anything like that?
I have art history.
Art history? Oh,
and
yeah.
art.
Art history and art. So you could
Yeah.
paint and you know about these
Yeah.
sort of things. All right. You recognize this. Well, you don't is the thing. You recognize this as similar to some of the art that you would see in Burma, like the area around there. And as you're looking at it in the light, like very carefully, as you're staring at it, like it's starting to get to you a little bit, especially because you're in tune with, you are a more artistic soul.
Right.
You are looking at it, and it's a picture of an ocean, or maybe a very large lake, or something like that. And there are two things underneath the water. It's unclear what they are. Maybe they're sea monsters or something like that, or dragons or something like that. They're very abstract, and you see them like trying to reach out of the water. And actually, the thing that you recognize, it's sort of a symbol in art of the area that the normal person looking at it wouldn't recognize it. There's a symbol above that is a character that means sun, and it is being covered up by a blackness. Like it's interesting. There's like a gray blackness that is sort of covering up the symbol that means sun above this lake, and there are like things reaching out of the lake. It is, now that you are literally looking at it in like extensive detail, you find it rather unsettling.
Okay.
I'm gonna need to have you make a stability test.
Okay.
Difficulty is 4. Potential loss of 3.
2.
Okay.
All right.
So
I was going to try to remind her that you can spend stability points to offset it, but
okay.
yeah.
So you are actually going to lose 3 stability points and 1 sanity point.
Okay.
Because it just the way the creatures or whatever they are painted underneath the water, like they're wrong. There's just something disturbing about it. And like because you are knowledgeable about this art and like looking at it and like knowing that you were told that the Eclipse and like you're making that connection, like this whole thing is just really, really freaky to you. Yeah.
Can I move the painting?
Yes, of course.
So I just lift it up.
Yes.
Is there anything behind it? Is there any notes on the back of the painting, or?
Well, you'd have to pull it out of the frame to do that, but you can very easily pull it out of the frame.
I want to do that.
Okay, as you rip it out of the frame, there is writing on the back, but it's in a language that what languages do you all speak?
I speak Yiddish, Cantonese, Mandarin, and German.
All right. Unfortunately, it is not. While it does appear to be some sort of Asian characters of some sort, but not in any Cantonese or Mandarin.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I only have Latin and Russian.
Yes.
So Lamont makes it up to Chan's room.
Yes.
Looking frustrated that he didn't find anything cool. The painting has been set on the ground, I assume, as you guys are looking at things around. I also have a study of art, but I also have innate knowledge of the occult.
Oh, yeah.
Do I notice anything weird about this painting in any sort of like occult sense? I have quite a bit in occult, by the way.
You have quite a bit in occult. So looking at this is sort of something. Yeah, this is sort of a thing that is in a lot of occultist sort of literature and whatnot. Not a lot of literature, actually, but in occult traditions, there's lots of things about sleeping beings, sealed beings that have been sealed away, and that when the stars are right, or the right sacrifices are made, or the right, just any sort of rights condition, maybe all of the planets align ever so nicely, they are able to emerge from their prison. You looking at that immediately as you're looking at it you're going to need to make a stability test as well.
Okay, and you said it's a 3.
3 and potential loss of sanity on top of that. Yeah, challenge of 4.
I'll add a 1 to see if I can get a little bit of a bet. I'll spend a stability point to give myself a little bit of an advantage.
Okay.
So a 5 plus 1. So I guess I'm fine.
You still lose a point of sanity though.
Oh, I do. Okay.
Yes.
Is it sanity or stability?
So your stability doesn't go. You haven't lost your stability, but
I'm
sanity.
A point of it.
That's right. So you spent a point of stability, but you didn't lose 3 on top of that. So because you would have lost 3 if you rolled poorly.
Gotcha.
But anybody pretty much looking at this who understands it more or less is going to lose a point of sanity.
So does Lamont relay? Do you relay all of that to us, the rest of the group,
I do. Yeah.
Okay, so then
I mean you're a little bit perturbed as you're saying this.
As you say that, I remind everybody of the Eclipse.
Well, that's right. Sorry I pushed that aside the other day. I just didn't think I would see something like this in this man's room.
Oh, understood.
Where was this painting hanging before?
Just over the
was
Chan's
it
bed.
over his bed?
Yeah, over his bed.
Like literally he slept beneath this painting?
Yes.
Jesus.
That's not who's involved here.
When I look around the room, do I see like are there any other paintings that reflect like a similar tone, or is it just this one?
Just this one.
Okay. Now that I'm aware of, like, maybe some serious occult stuff, can I, like, peruse Chan's room? Like, obviously, I take a pretty dedicated look around. Is there anything I noticed that could be, like, this is also an occulty?
If he has anything else, it's not here, or it's not anything that you recognize as occult.
Okay.
I need everybody to make a sense trouble check.
Ooh, I have that.
I have stuff in there.
Difficulty 4.
I have 6 points.
So you can
So it's spend, right?
So you can spend as many points as you would like, and what you spend will be added to your roll. If you get 4 or higher, you will know that something is coming. If not, you will not know that something is coming.
I'm going to spend 2 points because I have 8.
I just remembered that because my character has bad luck, I did not put any points in sense trouble.
Nicely done.
I rolled a 1.
Oh no. I'm gonna spend 1
I-
for sense trouble just because I'm pretty unnerved right now.
Yeah.
I got a 4 plus 1, so 5.
Yeah,
I got
I'm
a
gonna
6 plus 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna spend 1 as well. I got a 4.
Okay.
So plus 1.
So everybody heard something except for the detective.
Yep.
Okay. So
Bad luck.
the front door is not super quiet. It's a relatively large door. But you hear, you three hear, it's, downstairs away. Chan lives upstairs. The front door has opened and closed.
Oh.
I think we might want to go check
Yes,
on that.
I think we
Check
should
on what?
leave.
Greg, you didn't hear the door downstairs open and closed?
Oh, I must have missed it.
Somebody's here in the home. I don't think it's Landers.
Did we lock the door when we all came in?
I mean, either way, the door was opened. It could be Chan.
That's what
Yeah, I
that's
think
what
we
I'm
should
wondering.
definitely leave his room
Or
or wait and surprise
hide
him.
in his room.
Your decision will need to be made quickly.
I will.
I'm gonna hide under the bed, and I just slide under the bed.
I move to the side of behind the door.
Jesus.
I go into a different room and hide in it, like essentially just like maybe the next room down the hall or whatever,
there's
just
the-
somewhere else quickly that I can
Yes.
go to and be concealed.
I have the same instincts as Lamont, and I hide under the bed.
Sweet. Also, Lamont, I know I called it out the previous day, but going forward, just assume that Lamont has his Caine with him.
All right. Everyone in the room is going to need to make a stealth check at 4.
Got no points, so here we go.
Yep.
Straight roll.
Yeah, you hiding not in Chan's
Yeah,
room. You
I'm
don't need
just
to make a
like,
check.
yeah, don't-
The room, the house is big enough that it's not.
I rolled a 3. I failed.
Okay.
I rolled a 2 and I failed.
I got a 4.
Unfortunately, you're hiding under the bed with the
With
guy
me.
who
The
rolled
guy
it.
who's got...
Yes.
Yes, found.
Okay. The door to the room opens, and the door hits the detective hiding behind where the door should go, and that is a relatively loud sound. And then Lamont underneath the bed maybe coughs or moves a little bit.
Well, I probably freak out from the sound of him hitting the detective.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh
maybe-
no!
Yeah. And there is a man who has just come in the door and is very concerned about what he's seeing. A neatly attired, diminutive man of some sort of Asiatic heritage has come into the room and said, Who are you? And where is Addison?
And I slide out from under the bed. Oh, you interrupted a favorite old game of old Addison and I we used to play. It was hide and seek. Sorry, we were hiding in here, and I'm going to be honest, because he has passed away, I figured it was only appropriate to give the game one last shot in his old house. You must be... Is it Mr. Chan?
I must ask you all to leave.
Right.
Immediately.
Your boss is dead.
What?
I realize us hiding in here after telling you that may send the wrong message.
Well, we were playing an old game.
That's not what was happening, and we're sorry.
I'm going to have to ask you to leave this house immediately. I will be calling the police.
Oh, don't worry. The police are
police
already
know
well
we're
aware.
And, he has now sat down in his chair. What are you talking about?
Mr. Chan, we have some questions for you, and this is not at all how we wanted to do this. But
Questions for me? I have questions for you. How did you get in this house?
we were given a key by the police.
Are you the police?
We are working with them. Question for a question, though. Can we agree to that?
I agree to nothing.
Well, All right, let's see where this goes then. I'm going to ask you some very basic information.
I leave the room and I come back because I
Yeah,
haven't
so
heard anything. I mean, like
Yeah.
I heard this. I'm like, okay, well, cat's out of the bag,
Yeah.
and then I just go in. Yeah.
Oh,
This is it. This is it. This is the last of the people. If you would like, we could do this downstairs. Would that make you feel more comfortable?
I feel comfortable in here.
All right. Well,
Can
Mr. Chan, where were you yesterday? You were absent for the entire day.
Addison, Mr. Wilson sent me to San Francisco to see a lecture. Somebody was giving a lecture on a charity that I don't know.
What was the name of the charity?
Oh goodness, it was something about babies. A woman Sanger was talking.
Okay.
As you guys are questioning him, Lamont is going to kind of like peruse, like he's just kind of skimming around the room, but Lamont is positioning himself in front of the doorway in case there is any sort of like, quick scrambling for whatever reason.
Is there
All
a
right.
window in here as well?
There would be.
There is, yes, there is a window.
I'd like to make sure as we're asking questions, as I'm seeing Lamont doing this, I'll just surreptitiously position myself so I'm between him and the window.
All right. I honestly,
I'm afraid, Mr. Chen.
my English is not. For the record, he has I'm not going to do an Asian accent. I'm not. But he speaks with an Asian accent.
Sure.
And he's very soft spoken.
Well, not me. Does Barbara recognize the accent?
Do you have anthropology to recognize the accent?
I do.
Okay. He is not Chinese.
Okay.
He is actually the accent is recognized as Burmese.
Mm-hmm.
If you would like, you can spend a 2-point anthropology spend to like really look him up and down and like analyze him anthropologically and figure out like his racial stock.
Does
and stuff.
anybody else have anthropology, or am I the only one?
Yeah.
think
I
you're
got
the
no
only one.
anthropology.
Okay. I mean, do we think we're gonna need it later? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Screw it. Let's go for it.
Okay. A 2-point anthropology spend. Looking at him, he is very small, very, very short. His skin is darker than
Okay.
most, not black,
Right,
but,
right.
but he is a little darker skinned than most people from the region. And it's unusual for either a Chinese or a Burmese man. There's maybe some sort of other ancestry or something there that
Mixed.
Yeah, mixed or something, some odd ancestor. This man is not a traditional Chinese man or a traditional Burmese man. It doesn't even look like somebody who's half Chinese, half Burmese or something. There's something, like looking at it, like you just don't know. Like there's, and I know this sort of pseudo-scientific, like racist sort of thing, but like, understanding what different anthropological groups look like is a thing. And like there's stuff in him that he looks, I don't want to say wrong, but just
There's something off.
There's something off.
Out of place, yeah.
Something that you don't recognize. Yeah. A combination of traits that doesn't seem 100% right.
Okay.
And that's a big, most people would not be able to recognize that, but you spent 2 points. You are a very,
Right.
very good anthropologist that you're able to recognize that.
Okay.
Anyway, back to Mr. Chan.
Chan.
And he was saying, I didn't get much out of the lecture. My English is not great.
Yeah, you say that. Chen, and I pull off one of the pulp magazines from like one of the tables that he has here, because he has a couple in the room,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You mentioned. You seem to be clearly a fan of the old pulp literature. Is that right?
Yes, the language is not difficult.
Right.
That's true.
I'm a pretty big fan myself. Did Addison take to these as well, or just you?
He was always reading.
These types of
Was.
types of these magazines as well? Would you say?
He was a voracious. He wouldn't have said voracious.
Right,
he
of
was.
course.
He was constantly reading.
Well, I gotta say, your interest and taste in here are quite exciting. I particularly enjoy the art selections you've made in your room here, and I'm going to use my flattery skill,
Okay.
which I have quite a bit of. I have to say, most people wouldn't have an eye for these sort of things, but this particular painting, and because I assume when we hid, we put the painting back where it was. Otherwise, that'd be real dead giveaway that someone screwed around in there.
Yeah.
That's true.
Just point to the painting back on the wall. This particular piece is beautiful. Where did you get this work of art?
I got it from back home.
Oh, in where are you from?
China.
China, a beautiful country. I've never been, but I've heard great things. Just China generally. It's a big place, right? Is there anywhere specific in China?
He quickly says a bunch of like syllables in Mandarin to try to confuse you. However, your knowledge of Mandarin knows that he is just kind of saying some nonsense syllables.
Flibbity gibber snuff.
Yeah.
Right,
land.
because I'd say that I wouldn't have been able to relay what I know about him.
Right, because we're all standing in the room.
we're all standing in the room, so that's something only I know.
Yeah.
Different.
Right. No, we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know that he's not Chinese.
Chinese.
Well, now Barbara might suspect that.
Yeah.
So I might say, well, that sounds like a beautiful town.
I traveled quite a bit around what you call the Orient. I
Is that not what it's called? I would assume that's, if we call that, you would also call it that.
the Orient. Yes, I traveled quite a ways around the Orient, which is when I met Mr. Wilson
out in the Orient.
Now,
Where,
the
where
Orient.
exactly?
in the Orient.
But anywhere specific that you can recall?
It's been so long. I traveled so many places. Just could I really must ask you to leave. There's much that needs to be done. He's dead. Who killed him?
Chen, how familiar are you with the sleeping ones? And I might have said that phrase, but what I want to say is a very specific term that I would know from studying the occult that refers to the painting. And I want to deliberately, my action here is to read what his facial reaction is when he hears me say those things.
All right. I am going to need you to make a 2-point occult spend.
Sure.
You have heard names of all sorts of weird sleeping beings throughout existence. Identifying what these two are in particular is kind of a shot in the dark. So you say two names that you draw on from your knowledge. One is Czar and one is Dagon.
So I guess I'd probably phrase it. Are you familiar with the I think it's the famous painters Czar and Dagon, and just try to read his face?
Oh God! Please don't hate me. His face is inscrutable. And he doesn't really make too much of a face on that. He says, I don't know those painters. I did not paint this. It was given to me as a gift. I don't know who painted this.
Did Addison give this to you as a gift?
Yes, he gave it to me. He purchased it while we were...
and he asked you to hang it here, or was that kind of your own choice? It is a beautiful painting.
Yes, you have not answered my question. I do not appreciate being attacked like this.
What was your question? I'm sorry.
How did Mr. Wilson die, and what happened? Did he have a heart attack?
Well, a moment ago you asked how he was killed.
Well, you said he was killed.
All right, probably. Yes, there was an accident. There was an accident with one of the devices in his office.
What?
Yes, something seems to have gone wrong.
All right. All right. If there are any skills that you guys want to use at any point, let me know.
Yeah, I'd love to do the reading people one, whatever that one is.
The
Assess honesty. There it is. 2 points.
Okay. You could spend a point on assess honesty
Yeah, sure.
to figure out, because he is
Nearly inscrutable.
yes, and I know that word is sometimes applied in a racist way, but so he is shocked and clearly saddened by the knowledge that Addison is dead. He is surprised by this.
What is his reaction? To cross our T's and dot our I's, to a device in his office. Does he seem to know the piece I'm speaking of?
No, he seems very confused about what's going on.
Was he assessing his honesty when I said those two names earlier? Because I know I wasn't assessing his honesty, but I don't know if you're in perpetually assessing honesty once you've spent the points. You know what I mean?
Like, he didn't raise an eyebrow, but it would sort of be like a bit of an eyebrow raise, like just sort of like a, what are you talking about?
Gotcha.
Like
Confusion,
yeah.
genuine confusion.
Confusion, but with a little recognition. Like, you're not just saying random syllables. Like, he sort of maybe recognizes what you're talking about, but you seem to be just completely like just nonsense.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But what are you doing here?
Well, to put it plainly, Addison had us listed in his will as people to look into his, how would you describe it?
Untimely death?
Yes, should anything happen.
Really? I did not realize that he had put that in his will. Well, I hope that you can discover what happened and bring justice.
As do we.
It's weird that we never discussed why all 4 of us were selected for this particular. That's also kind of mysterious
Well, I mean,
under its
I
way.
think
No,
that
you all-
each of us know. Like,
Yeah.
I know why I was selected.
Right.
Yeah.
I make problems go away. You have a certain set of
I mean,
interests,
Money.
and money and
Money.
resources,
he was friends or acquaintances with all of you and trusted
Right.
you.
and
Yeah.
knew us all to be
Of good character.
Yeah.
delicate.
Skilled in some ways.
Yes,
I mean, we're all standing here. Should we just ask the real question?
go for it.
Chen, how interesting was it to be looking after the Penitent?
What?
You know, the crime smasher.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Assessing honesty.
Does-
Use your assessing powers.
Does he though, or does he know, or does he not know, or does he know, or does he not know?
He's heard of the Penitent before.
Okay,
But it doesn't look like he's like, oh, you found out.
yeah, he might not know, but he might know. But he,
But he
probably
might.
but he might not know.
So,
Yeah.
just so I'm clear on how the rules of the game
Yes.
work,
You
is
would
there a chance that he has not ferreted out more honesty that you are not giving us, or is it just that we believe that he probably didn't know that?
He probably doesn't know that from your spend of assess honesty.
Right.
You're pretty good at reading people.
Okay.
So I was going to
So-
say, because I know in
yeah.
like some systems you
Yeah.
don't roll high enough, so you're like,
yeah.
maybe he is or maybe he
So
doesn't.
here, unless this guy is the greatest liar in the world or does not have body language that is consistent with other normal human body language, like, unless one of those crazy things is happening, this guy is telling you the truth.
and we have to
We have
operate
to,
under the
yeah,
assumption
operate
that
under the assumption, yeah.
that we are not living in one of those two realities.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, I can't read as well, but I kind of eye Greg to see if there's any sort of like you're like, nah, he doesn't know.
I shake my
It's-
head. He doesn't know.
That's. Are you saying Mr. Wilson was this penitent?
It's a working theory, but there is evidence to support it.
I think your theory needs more work.
I think it may. To be fair, it relied a lot on your confirming that idea, and since you don't seem to know that, it seems
It's so strange. Mr. Wilson doesn't usually send me to these sort of things. He either goes himself or he just reads about it in the paper. I don't usually go to these sort of events, but 3 days ago he just sent me off and wanted me to see what was going on with one of the charities that he funded. And
Is there any reason he would have thought your English is better than it was, that you would have come away with more information about the charity than you could have?
I don't know.
Do you think he was trying to protect you?
Maybe.
I think that's
if something killed him, maybe I should have protected him.
Mr.
How
Chen.
could you have done that? Do you have a particular set of skills that we're unaware of?
If he was ambushed alone, I'm sure that he could have been taken out. But if there was a second person to stop the assailant, how was he killed?
Do you know of Chief Howdy?
What?
The instrument in his room, in his office.
The statue.
The
Statue.
statue? That ridiculous thing?
Yes, you know that it's articulated. I'm sorry, it moves. It can animate, or it has a function to it.
The statue.
Yes.
And you're saying the statue
Was used to kill him.
that
Well, you know about the pedal in the floor that you can step on and makes a little arm move.
what are you talking about? I have no idea what you were talking
How
about.
long has that statue been in?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know when he got it. He's had it for several years. I don't know exactly when he got it. I'm sorry. He brings in so many things. The art changes all the time.
What does Addison spend a lot of his time on? Is he out in the evenings? Maybe is he?
He goes to various fundraisers. He's with many beautiful women. He reads. He's just a typical person of his status.
I'm afraid I have to contest that he had sustained over his life, or at least the past half decade, a number of injuries and blunt force trauma to his body, particularly below the clavicle.
I don't know. I mean, he gets quite a bit of hate mail because of some of the charities that he supports, but I don't think they're beating him.
Do you have any of that hate mail? Or is it disposed of?
It was disposed of. We didn't like to keep it around, but yes, that.
But we found out a lot of those charities
We're not so
Right.
real. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
one of them's real, and yes, that would certainly be something that's not particularly popular with
Did we find
most individuals.
of some of the charities he deposited to? They were actually real charities.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
Margaret
yeah,
Sanger.
I would-
Sanger's charity. There was some charities that were involved in schooling for African Americans and Latinos in
And they
Los
were-
Angeles.
and they're
Yeah,
legit.
Those were legit.
Okay.
Yes.
And that would certainly inspire hate mail.
If you have any more questions, I would ask that you ask them quickly.
I have a lot, but they don't seem to apply to you anymore.
I would ask that you leave me. I need to.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Where was it again that you said that you were from?
I met Mr. Wilson in the Orient.
Where you're from, though?
But
she
where are
asked.
you from?
Oh, I'm sure you wouldn't be aware of it.
No, go ahead.
He says Manchuria this time. He says something a little bit more specific.
Okay.
Again, assess honesty he is uncomfortable with the topic of where he is literally
Yeah.
from. Like he's very this has been made clear. Like he is disseminating wildly. Like he's trying to be like he doesn't want to talk about where exactly he's from.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if it looks like I'm making you uncomfortable. Are you not comfortable discussing where you're from? Because I believe earlier you said you were from China.
Manchuria is a place in China. But it's
Do they speak Cantonese in China in Manchuria?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I imagine since you speak Cantonese, you
Would
might
I
know
know?
that.
Yeah. Yes. Let's say yes. It's either Cantonese
Okay.
or Mandarin. I'm not sure
Right.
which one, but
And
one of
you-
them is spoken.
And
so
you would
yeah.
know both of them. Yeah.
Yes, you know both of them. Yes. I try to forget about my past. The Orient was a dangerous place. I'm glad to be here in America, where it is safe and beautiful.
Well, it's hard to argue with that, certainly. America is the greatest country in the
I'm-
world.
Could I ask you to leave my room, at least? If you are to have run of the estate, I understand, but I must ask that you leave me to my grief, my sadness.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
What? Before I go, though, I am planning a trip abroad to the Orient, and I just would love to swing by and get some kind of local recommendations. Just if you could just give me just kind of the name of the town again. What was it? And
It was in Manchuria. It was a small village. It did not have a name.
okay, and that sounds okay. Manchuria, right? I look over at Josephine and kind of like nod my head knowingly, as if like, is that right?
Well, I mean, it's a city and it's in China, but that's
Manchuria
not where
is
he's
like a
from.
province
But
of-
that's
yeah.
not where he's from.
I mean,
Yeah.
Unless you say that out loud, I assume you just like nod.
We could
Or,
probably
like,
compare notes outside of the
Right.
fair enough.
Okay. Thank you. I must. Why did he send me away? And he closes the door, and you do hear like a little bit of quiet crying on the other side of the
Yeah,
door.
that's what-
Let's retire to the office where the incident happened. Mostly because if he comes down here, I would like to see him.
Fair enough.
And as we had, once we're in there, close the door. The man.
This place must smell terrible, by the way. There's like a corpse in.
Well, no,
the corpse is gone.
Oh, that's right. We
but-
took the corpse away.
But
that's
I
right.
mean, has the blood been cleaned up? Probably
probably
not.
not. No.
The only person who would have done it was Chan. I'm certainly the lawyer wouldn't have had any cause
Yeah.
to do that.
Right.
Nope.
So well, since we're behind closed doors, I relay everything that I have inferred. I'd be like, he's FYI, he's not Chinese.
And he, like, gerbled something in Chinese.
Yeah, he's from. There's something very off about his origin.
He seems honest about all of our questions about his relationship with.
So it sounds like
Addison,
the one thing he was
own,
uncomfortable with was about his
about his background. Yes, I mean, from what I've gathered, I mean, he's Burmese, but there's just something off, like a mixture of some other trait. I'm just not quite. I can't put my finger on what it is.
Like nothing that would be local, or I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, is there another Providence nearby that might make sense? Like
a Providence?
A province nearby. Or it might have been Providence that.
No,
because we already had established that the painting was from Burma.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I relay that.
Yes.
Like, how the painting was from Burma. That's where he's from. So I mean, he's lying whenever he says that he's from Manchuria.
Yeah.
He certainly did not want to discuss his own
and also
upbringing.
Yeah, and also meeting Mr. Wilson.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like there's only one thing I really want to learn a little bit more about. I mean,
we're not on the same page. Please elaborate.
His heritage, obviously, the one thing that he was nervous about.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
there's a lot of things I'd like to learn about from him. Yes, that's the number one. But I don't know if that's our next point of, in terms of the time-sensitive nature of an investigation. If he was the Penitent, and the Penitent is dead, the only person I can think of who might be a point of curiosity or interest is Two-Tone Anderson. If that individual is yet to be taken down by the Penitent, he certainly has a lot to gain by the Penitent's death. I also wonder what sort of position of power he's in now that the Penitent has taken down all his competition.
How many phones are in the house?
2.
Okay. Connected to the same line?
They're connected to the same line, yes. One is in the sort of... actually, there are 3. There's one in Addison's bedroom, there's one in Mr. Chan's room, and there's also just one in the main foyer.
Okay. Because are you going to make a phone call?
I wasn't going to call my underworld contacts. I was going to go pound the pavement. I don't know how to do that in the game, but we were going to figure that out.
I just wanted to make a quick call. I imagine I'm very familiar with the charities and stuff, so I just wanted to make a quick call to somebody that I know who also is involved with charities, just to confirm that there was in fact something going on in San Francisco.
That's a great question.
Yeah. So I just I make a quick phone call to my friend who was very involved. Like, I'm obviously support Margaret Sanger's efforts, but I have obviously I have friends who also do.
Yeah.
So I do make a follow up on that.
A quick follow up call. We're not going to play out the whole thing, but yes, there was Sanger was giving a speech in San Francisco.
Okay,
yes.
so that's enough. That's enough for me to say. Okay, you didn't pull that out of nowhere.
Maybe I could call the police, figure out where Toontown is.
I told you where he was.
At
Club Alabama.
Oh, Club Alabama. That's right.
Yeah. You know where he is. He's in what is currently the heart of Black Los Angeles, which is
Dunbar.
By Hotel Dunbar.
All right. Yeah. Let's say we head to Club Alabama and pay Two-Tone a visit.
Oh, I wanted to talk to Chan one more time.
Is it something that we would all go to?
That's a great question. I don't know. That is up to you to a certain degree, but I don't know what else we have.
What else do we know? What do we know about Club Alabama?
Also, what time is it? What are the likelihood he'll be there?
Yeah, because I imagine it's still,
early.
Maybe noon.
Maybe noon.
It's early, but he is headquartered out of there. So it's not just like a nightclub that he owns. He is there, but he runs criminal activity out of there.
But it means we'll have to gain entrance somehow.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's not going to be imagine not during normal operating hours.
Right.
No. Well, Club Alabama is actually connected to the hotel. The club is closed, but you could go to the hotel. Yes.
Okay, that's something.
Yes.
What else do we have to look into? I mean, I have no issue with any of us going together, but is there anything else we can do at the same time? One
more thing that I suppose I should mention, now that you're thinking about it, you guys were very set on finding Chan, and now that he's here, it's the thing. You're thinking of all the other leads you have. You do have Two-Tone, but also, I should have mentioned this when you were reading all the things about the Penitent. You noticed that a lot of the articles about the Penitent were written by one woman named Rebecca Bloom. She works for the LA Times. I know that's a bit of a reach, but now that you're just trying to figure out anything, there's a Rebecca Bloom who works at the LA Times who wrote a lot of the articles. Though her articles were always that reporting on the Penitent and saying like the Penitent doesn't actually exist. Like she would always be the one who writes about would be skeptical about it.
Well, perhaps that was a coordinated effort.
Yes. So those are so Chan's still around, Bloom at the LA Times, and you could go talk to Two-Tone.
I don't think I'd be any use in the Rebecca Bloom conversation. I would have a lot more to offer for Two-Tone.
I'd prefer to have one other person with me talking to Chan.
I'll be
Well, I
there.
think we should do that.
Who either knows about Burma or can speak the language.
I think we should all go up there before we leave.
Yes, to at least let him know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Not
at least
necessarily that, but I mean, because who knows what he might do if he perceives that we've all left.
Yeah. Interesting point.
I mean, have we ascertained all the information that we can possibly get from here without him meddling?
I don't know. I would recommend the last thing I would recommend, or the final thing I would suggest before we go, is that we take the javelin. Unless it's already is it already at UCLA?
It probably
It
is.
probably yeah.
We probably
Say
took
I
a
took it
murder
with the
weapon
body.
with
Yeah.
the body.
Okay, then I'm fine. I think we can leave this place.
I mean, you still have the key.
That's
yeah,
true.
we can.
Right. I'm
come
just
back.
worrying about him. If Chan starts
Everybody's
messing
really
with
okay
stuff.
to leave already. We know that there was a really weird thing going on with the Eclipse. He's got that strange painting in his room and is refusing to talk about the one thing he wasn't clear about was his background, but everybody feels like we got the best out of that conversation.
I don't see a point in me talking to him again.
I'm very interested.
Maybe
so.
that's the best way. I mean, I think we should all talk to him, but what more is that one more conversation and then we break and we head to the other
figured as
places?
much.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
I mean,
yeah.
I can just I'll just go and be straight with him and tell him that I know he's lying.
Me too.
I mean, I think that at this point, he hasn't fessed up.
Yeah.
Even though we've kind of pried into it twice.
Let him know what
And
we
just
know.
let him know that what we know.
Doom, 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 doom.
Okay.
All right. He is sitting. As you open the door, you see that he's sitting at at the table in there, and he's just sort of looking forward. He's crying a little bit, but he not loudly. He's doing okay, but he's still got some tears in his eyes, some sniffling. This guy is very sad about the death of his employer, but also seemingly his friend.
Right.
Yes.
Knock as we enter the room.
Yes.
Yes.
I realize we didn't ask. How long have you been with Mr. Wilson? Did we ask that? I don't think we did.
I started working for him about 4 years ago.
About 4 years ago. And are you absolutely certain that you're from Manchuria?
I don't understand your question.
Look, I know that's not where you're from. You're quite obviously Burmese, mixed with something I'm not certain of, but...
Where I am from,
Yes.
I do not believe has anything to do with the death of my employer. So I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Well, that's for us to ascertain of whether or not
I
it's
don't.
of importance.
Well, I will tell you that I am from Manchuria.
Okay, well, that went over well.
So, why are you lying about your family history and where you're from? Look, I've got some tough stuff going on with my family as well. I can certainly relate. But to lie 3 times about questioning, I mean, what's going on?
He now is just ignoring you. He's just not talking to you.
Chan, are you familiar with the story of Peter on the night of Jesus' crucifixion?
Not particularly.
Well,
I'm not a Christian.
Well, I would understand. On the night of his death, Peter 3 times denies that he is a friend of the man he spent a fair amount of his life with. How do you think your family might feel knowing that you denied them 3 times?
Please leave me alone.
You know what, Chan, one last thing.
Leave me alone. He stands up and is balling his fist.
I think we can take the hint, everyone.
That he doesn't want to talk about it. I totally agree.
Lamont, I think you need to learn a little bit about people's personal space.
You're right. What am I thinking about pressing the issue when we're trying to figure out a death of an old friend? I'll take your fist balling as an indicator that you don't want to talk about this anymore. I'll leave. So Lamont steps out of the room, pissed off.
Sure.
All right. Do the rest of you leave the room?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Try to speak to
Yeah, I'm
him.
gonna try and speak in Mandarin.
Okay.
Like,
Okay. And our conversation is now in that language.
Yes.
buddy, we don't want to disturb you in any way, but we feel like you steering this conversation away from your heritage is somewhat important to...
Everyone in this country is obsessed with my heritage, and I'm tired of talking about it. My past is my past, and I do not know what it has to do with now.
We want to know where you met Addison.
We met in the Orient. I was traveling around China. He was traveling around China. We met there, like southern China.
Southern China. I guess that's a bit more specific.
Please, let me be.
All right.
Do we think this has something to do with, I don't know, just the nature of things? Perhaps him having his guard up?
The nature
of the times.
At the time, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's certainly possible.
Very positive, yeah.
Yeah.
Very possibly.
Like maybe that's really...
Because you guys are all white people, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe he's just defensive for that reason.
Yeah, it's
Because
possible.
of
I mean,
race and
Yeah.
all those different things going on.
I wouldn't know to assume otherwise
Right.
in this Cthulhu game. I don't. So I'm gonna talk to Two Tone. Who wants to come with me, or who wants to go
Should
see?
we
I'll come
all
with
go?
you. Yeah, we'll
I
all
mean,
go.
Yeah, let's...
I'm
Okay.
just wondering, is it safe for us to go?
I mean, he's
I
a
think
crime
we should
boss.
all go to all the places for the rest of this plot.
Master.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks for listening to Friday Night Quests and our adventure in Trail of Cthulhu. Join us next week for part 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna loot the body.
So, how much experience do we get?
Well, now we have a skeleton army, so that's pretty neat.